EA Sports. It's in the game.
What's going on around us? This is the first episode of Around the Smoke. We've been holding off on this surprise. In the second, Head Commissioner KD and other Commissioner Mike is going to jump in. But if you are wondering what this is, every 4 weeks we're going to be doing a roundabout show after we hit the first 4 weeks of the season. So be on the lookout. Your team may get featured on here. So this was a surprise that we actually been sitting on since before the league got created. But to add on to later on, let's go ahead and get my boys in here. We got Head Commissioner KD and got Co-Commissioner Mike. What's going on, guys?
What's going on? All the smoke. What's going on? Good to see y'all playing y'all's games. This is Head Commissioner KD, by the way.
Hey, it's good. It's good to be back. My partner in crime, Nate, and it's an even better honor to have one of the head commissioners here. You know, he's done so much along with Darrell, so it's a great honor to be on this episode with a great commissioner like KD. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But before we get into our outlook on the league, I know some of you've seen the video yesterday, but we're gonna give a quick video recap to the teams that are currently undefeated. We actually had 5 undefeated teams, but you just saw in the smoke session that tie season's no longer undefeated. Shout out to Shay and the We Ready Giants. They got to win against them to end that undefeated streak. So for the other teams that are entering week 5 undefeated, let's go over that quick video one more time if you missed it yesterday.
Wilson to throw. Going for the deep ball. He's got a man complete. Touchdown, Titans. Well, Charles, he's still a young signal caller in this league. Second year in the NFL. But I don't know conversion. First down, Wilson. He's going to launch this thing way downfield.
He throw a fucking dart, Zach.
Tennessee touchdown.
200 yards. That says the very next week it was back things up.
I don't need it as much.
No, they want it more and more. They're going to be ready to go because they think that's going to happen naturally now.
Taking it right down Broadway. 30, 10, 5, touchdown, Jaguars. And with his speed, if he just finds the slightest crease, he can take it the distance like he did there. To throw on 2nd and 6, Lawrence. He completes it to Ridley. And he takes it in. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
He'll get what he can up the middle, 3 yards. That'll bring up 2nd down. Yeah, I don't know if this is exactly what he did, but you're on the field, trying to get out of the run. Kind of step back. Better give Mitch and I'm not saying I'm playing. Last time was on the outro. Stuck in the house, need to get out more. I've been stacking up like I'm slum breaker. Most people in my position get complex and want to come places with star girls and they end up on them front pages. I'm quiet with it, I just ride with it. The moment I stop having fun with it.
This base and let the linebackers run free. But he can also make plays himself, as we just saw there.
On 3rd and short, they'll try option left. And he'll take this one in for the Arizona touchdown. They go play fake. Mahomes. He's going to look for Allen now on the deep ball. And his pass is intercepted for the 4th time today. Mahomes picked by his ex-teammate Marcus Peters. There he goes left side. 20.
once again, that was a shout out to the undefeated teams that are in the league currently. So I guess let me first start off and ask this question to both of you. Are there any of the undefeated teams that you are all surprised by that started 4-0?
Okay, I'll go first by saying the shout out to Ty. He just recently lost to a great team with Coach Shay Shay and the New York Giants, but hats off to Ty, man. Those Packers were 4-0. I don't think a lot of people expected that. They're now 4-1, but I still expect to see them in the playoffs.
For me, it's probably a tie between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. And the Cardinals are coming off a few rough years, and I don't think really too many people expected them to start off undefeated, but they still have some good offensive pieces. Now, the Seahawks, on the other hand, if you didn't know, they traded DK Metcalf and they traded Jamal Adams before the season even started. I think that's the biggest surprise of the last couple of years. The Seahawks have done an amazing job to start off the season. I'm excited to see how far they can go.
I agree 100% with y'all. I'm not surprised. So I'm gonna go ahead and break down from the undefeated teams. From my personal opinion, the Titans, I'm not surprised by. Shout out to Coach Antoine Carroll, the Titans. He's one of the better users in this league. He's one of the guys I think is long overdue to win a championship. Yeah, I said it on here live for everyone to hear. He is one of the overdue guys to win a Super Bowl in this league. Shout out to Buddy and the Jaguars. I think I'm very surprised by those guys. He's a really good user, but to get off to a 4-0 start, he made a big trade with the Chiefs to get Chris Jones and Trayvon Walker and Palucon went to Kansas City, and to overcome all of that and still have a 4-0 start with that elite offense has been impressive. The Cardinals, I know a lot of people are not familiar with him. He's 4-0. He was an original member of OG, which is Tevin League for a lot of you that was in that league in the PS4. He is really impressing me with those Cardinals. They're starting off to a 4-0 start, and they're not the conventional Cardinals. So I think that's what a big surprise is for me. And as all you mentioned, Seattle is a huge surprise to me as well, because at the end of the day, solid user. But when you give up Jamal Adams and DK to go at the number one in the randomizer, I was like, I don't know what the season's going to look like for him. But he is overcoming, and I'm very impressed with him so far with what he's done in regards to the league standpoint. I think he's gonna be looking forward to see what happens, especially when him and the Cardinals match up for the first time later on down the road. And as the guys mentioned, shout out to Ty and the Packers. They lost a game against a really good user in Coach Shay Shay, the New York Giants. So that's not a bad loss right there. That's one that you go back and you learn from. So shout out to those guys as well. But yeah, just moving along to some of the other teams. Let's go ahead and go to the division by division breakdown as we get started. Let me go to give me a second. The stream is a couple seconds behind me talking. So we'll go division by division. We're gonna start off with the division that's gonna be absolutely bonkers all season long. I cannot wait to see what the guys got to say about the AFC North. Everybody in the division is 3-1. What are y'all thoughts on this wild division?
Man, this is an absolutely crazy division. Those Browns are nice. They have probably the best secondary in the league right now. Go look at that team. You have the Steelers with a great coach, and they start out with a pretty nice team too. The Bengals team is great, and we've already mentioned that that trade. The Seahawks are undefeated, but he sold his soul for the number one pick, and the Ravens got DK and Jamal Adams, so that team is pretty nice as well. I really expect to see most of, if not all of these teams in the playoffs when the time comes, but I would not want to be in this division. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, pretty impressive head coaches all around. These guys know how to play. They have some experience. They have a lot of these guys have playoff experience. And I know the Ravens head coach, Darrell, he has some championship aspirations. And just like all these guys, but I know the Ravens were predicted to win this division. He's going to be in for a dogfight. I'm excited to see what happens, and it should be a good one.
Hey, I agree 100% with you guys. When the league first came together and I saw this 4-man division, I said, oh my God, do they realize what they got themselves into? And all 4 of them are showing themselves to be 4 of the solid users in the league. So all of you be 3-1 is absolutely crazy. Of course, once they get a chance to play, those games will balance itself out. But I do agree with what both Katie and Mike said. It's a potential chance that all 4 of those guys, or maybe even 3 of the 4, make the playoffs. So that's going to be a division to watch out for. I know that division is going to be on a smoke session several times at some point later in the season, but they're going to be the division to watch out for. And if you look, 2 of those guys haven't even surrendered 100 points, and that is the Browns and the Bengals. As Katie mentioned, that is one of the best divisions in the league. The Browns have the best secondary in the entire league right now. He absolutely do. If you have not looked at his team, go look at his team. The Bengals are solid user in general. He's always going to be a tough out. He had a big win last week against the Miami Dolphins. And if we're going to get a chance to talk about that team too, that team is crazy in Miami. But Baltimore, their only loss came to that same team in the Miami Dolphins, and then the Steelers lost to, I want to say, the Browns. Like, their losses have been within each other. So it's going to be fun to watch how that division play out going forward. Let's move on to the next one. It's going to be the AFC South. Let's let it come up on the screen before we get started talking about it. This division hosts 2 of the 4 undefeated teams that are remaining, and also has the Colts and have Mike in the division. Trust me, let me go ahead and say this before they go ahead and talk about it. Do not let that 1-3 record fool you in Houston. He really should have won that game against the Chargers. Shout out to the other commissioner, Tevin. They had a nail-biter game. He had 1 missed tackle, and it's the Texans. Anybody has taken on the Texans first season, this a fix-it-Jesus move, okay? So bear with those Houston Texans. I can't wait to see what he do with that team this offseason. But I'm going to pass over to KD. What's your thoughts on the AFC South?
Oh, man, let me tell you. We talk about the previous division, but looking at this division, this is honestly 4 very solid users also. We have 2 of the better deep passers in the league. They're both 4-0 with Coach Antoine and Coach Buddy Buckets. Then you also have the Colts, and he's a very very great underrated user as well in Rocco. And Mike, like Nate said, don't let the 1-3 record fool you. Mike is a tough out no matter what, but he has to work with the Texans now, and I expect much more from him in year 2. But that's such a tough team to build. But yeah, this is a solid division. You got people like Buddy Buckets, who's 4-0. He's never seen a check down he liked. He's going to throw the ball deep. Coach Antoine Carroll, his offense is explosive. Just watch out. Watch out when you play this division, and those Texans might sneak up on you and beat you.
Yes, the Titans, Jaguars are very well coached. I said before the season that those are my 2 favorites to vie for the AFC South crown. I believe, even how difficult it may be, I believe this division can get 3 teams into the playoffs. I believe that the Titans and Jaguars stay on course. They continue to play well, continue to stay within themselves. They will be locks for the playoffs. But that's no disrespect to the Colts. The Colts, he has to deal with the Titans and Jags. If they slip up, if in those head-to-head matchups, I believe he can get 2 of those. And if he can sweep the Texans, the Colts will be right there in the wild card as well. So that's 3 teams that can potentially make the playoffs. He's a very solid user. I can't say enough good things about the Titans and the Jaguars. You're going to have to deal with it. You might as well deal with it now because you're going to have to deal with them in the playoffs. As far as the Texans go, the young team, They have some good pieces. I'm wondering what the head coach has. What is he thinking at the quarterback position? He stayed with Davis Mills throughout the offseason. I think he has something cooking. The Texans have 2 first-round picks that can trade up, or they can just stay with their pick at their number 1 pick. Should be a top 5 pick. So, hey, the Texans, they're building something. You may not see it, but keep an eye on them.
Yes, sir. I agree with you guys 100%. It's going to be – that division also is going to be a tough one to watch going forward, because I easily could see both the South and the North bring out 3 teams each. So, yeah, it's going to be a division to watch for sure. I can't wait to see what happens. Let's move on to the East. And first of all, let me let it come up on the screen. First of all, we're gonna just say fix it, Jesus, for this division so far, because right now, shout out to my boy E. He is up until he's up 3-1 in division. He lost a close game against the Bengals last week, but right now he is by far the standout guy in the division. He has a stacked offense of Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp. He brought in Cooper Kupp. He absolutely robbed the Rams in the trade. We'll talk about that another time. He robbed the Rams in the trade to get Cooper Kupp. So now you got Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, and Tyreek Hill in that offense. The Super Bills, which is a team in second place, they're 1-3 right now. They actually might have the best offense in the league, but their record is just not matching. They got to get off that hump this week against the Steelers and find themselves back in the race. And the Patriots are a tough build right now, so got to see what that team can do for the remaining stretch of the season. And the Jets played a close game against Pittsburgh yesterday. Had a couple unfortunate mistakes to lose that game, but at this moment right now, that is Miami's division to lose, unless the Bills get hot and start making some noise. Right now, he's 3-1 and have a 1-game edge on Buffalo because he beat them in the head-to-head, I think, in week number 3, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going to pass it over to KD and Mike and see what they got to say about that division.
Okay, so I'll just start from the bottom up. The Jets, I like what they did pairing Sauce Gardner with PS2. I think that was a pretty good move for them. But it's tough out there right now. They're 0-4, so they need to put some wins together. When you come up to the Patriots, I think they are probably one of the hardest builds as far as teams go when starting out. So they definitely need to, string some wins together as well. Those Buffalo Bills, man, they got Iron Man, Hawkeye, the Hulk, Black Panther. Man, they got all the Avengers over there, but they're 1-3. I really need them to string some wins together. I think they can try to make this division close, but they really need to start winning some games very fast over there, or we could see the season slip away from those guys. Right now, it's looking like this division is certainly the Dolphins to lose. Like Nate said earlier, their offense is explosive. You got 2 speedsters on the outside and Cooper Kupp also. Like, who's stopping that with 1 loss? So I expect them to win this division, but hopefully the Bills can come back to make it close or remotely close.
I recently spoke with a Texans executive, and he was kind of nervous. They got a big win a couple of weeks ago against the Broncos, but they're 1-3, and his mindset is he wants to contend, but he knows what he's dealing with. But if they're not going to contend, he wants to be in a position to get a high pick, and he's nervous because he looks at the Patriots and Jets and like, we got to contend with those guys to the bottom to get the guy we want. So he's already looking forward to the draft and thinking about the potential roadblocks that prevents him to get the guy he wants. So he's hoping that the Patriots and Jets pick it up soon. They have to play each other. His mindset was he hopes one of those 2 teams sweeps the other. That will give extra wins and give the Texans some cushion as far as their guy they want in the draft. Now, as far as the Dolphins, like everyone says, their division to lose. They have so many weapons on offense. The defense just has to be average. You know, if the offense can score 40 points on any given week and at minimum 30 points per game. If he can hold opponents to below 21, 24 points, that should be enough to win this division, unless the Bills get their act together. They have been by far the biggest disappointment in the league, but I know that head coach, he has the ability to turn this ship around. He has the ability to win 7, 8, 9 games in a row. And I think he can. He just has to get out of his head. He has to get his players on one accord, and they have to play better defense. They've given up 124 points per game over the course of the season. And the offense has not been as prolific as we were told they would be during preview season. So the Dolphins, you know, they stay on course. It's their division, but they cannot afford to give the Bills any hope, because if they do, the Bills will take that division. And I'm not sure with how deep the other divisions are, if 2 teams will be able to make it out of this division as far as playoffs are concerned.
I like that take, and I want to agree with that too, Mike. It's gonna be hard. The Bills got to get going this as far as this week, because that division could be over and it could hurt him down the stretch. Moving on to the AFC West, let's go ahead and let it come up on the screen. Give it a couple seconds. All right, the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers are both tied at 2-2 in the division, with the Raiders at 1-3. The Chiefs and the Raiders have a big game coming up. If the Chiefs can win that game, that's going to be 2 wins in the division. If the Raiders can win, then it'll be a 3-way tie for first at 2-3, with the Broncos at a 0-4 start. This division is going to be a challenge. The Chiefs are trying to put together a roster post a lot of the moves in Kansas City. You know, Mecole Hardman left in free agency. A lot of people left in free agency. They flipped Travis Kelce to Arizona. They flipped Chris Jones to Jacksonville. So that's going to be a team to see how they put that roster together post all of those veterans that helped them win the Super Bowl. The LA Chargers, or as many of them call them in the league, the Superchargers, with all those traits. But like, shout out to Coach Tevin Ratcliffe. He said he showing y'all boys how to build with 2 stars and 2 ARs. You know, he said a couple times in the chat. Let's see what those guys do with that stacked defensive line with Joey Bosa and Myles Garrett. Let's see what those guys can do. Still got a solid secondary. Got Lamar Jackson, got Chris Godwin, and I don't know if they've traded Marquise Brown yet. Probably will trade him soon. Not sure what's going to happen with that team, but they have talent to still be a tough out in that division. The Raiders and the Broncos are probably more towards the rebuild than anything else right now, but that's not to say they won't give problems in the division. But like I said, I think this is another division that's going to face the concerns that the East is going to face, meaning that you cannot win the division. If you don't win a division, your playoff chances might be slim to none. So it is key that you win the division straight up. But let's go on to Katie and Mike and see what they got to say about the West.
Yeah, so over here in the AFC West, it's going to be a pretty interesting division. I feel like the Broncos user, he's a very underrated user. I feel like he could definitely catch someone slipping and win some games. Same with the Raiders, and this division isn't even close to what you would say over at this point. If those bottom 2 teams can put some wins together, they can move up in the division. But with that being said, I think the top 2 teams in this division are the Chiefs and the Chargers, as the standings currently reflect. I feel like the Chiefs made some pretty nice moves in the offseason, and they're clearly setting up to build in the draft if you go look at their draft picks. But right now, they still have a pretty solid team. As far as the Chargers, Tevin Ratcliffe, we can start with a first. You know, he knows how to build teams. Tev the Builder, as I like to call him. He has a lot of traits. He just has to go out on the field and actually make some plays and win some games, and he will have a great shot at winning this division. Coach Nate Butler, on the other hand, same thing. He just has to go out there and make plays, and I feel like this division is wide open. Either of those two teams could come away with that division crown. So right now, yeah, it looks like the Raiders and the Broncos, if they don't string some wins together, it can get away from them pretty quickly.
I'm still searching for what the Broncos, who they are and who they want to be. I believe that Mr. Henderson has a great gauge of where his team is and where they're going, but from the outside looking in, I'm concerned. You know, they have a solid team. They made some good moves, but one questionable move that I think will impact them down the road was trading Russell Wilson for Jalen Hurts. And I say that because what is the vision here? You know, you traded all those assets to get Russell from Seattle just to flip him for Jalen Hurts. And you're going to have to pay Jalen Hurts because I know the offensive system that the Broncos have, and they're gonna put some yards up, which means he's going to ask for a lucrative deal, and you're going to have to pay him. So now you just have to pay him, and you just had to give all these assets away for Russell Wilson. I'm interested to see what they do. I'm sure he has a plan, and I'm excited to see what he has up his sleeve. As far as the Raiders, Mr. Shedd, he's going to blitz you. He's going to blitz you. He's going to blitz you. So he's going to win some games. If you don't have a blitz protector, if you don't have anything to counter his blitzes, he's gonna force some turnovers, which means if the Chiefs and Chargers slip up, he's gonna win some games based off of his defense. His defense has to get better. He's given up 138 yards so far this season. His defense has to improve. His offense, it is what it is with his offense, but his defense is the strength of this team. And if they're gonna make some noise in this division, he has to find a way to mesh some coverage in with his man blitzes. As far as the Chargers go, the Chargers very well could be 1-3 right now, but they made the plays they had to make when they needed to make them, and so they're 2-2, and they're along with the Chiefs in the driver's seat. They have a very solid team. They just made a huge trade this week. The Chargers head coach Ted, he's capable of winning 10 in a row. I've seen it. He's capable of winning 5 in a row. I've seen it multiple times. So I believe this division won't be settled until the last week of the season. But the person that's leading the division, Nate Butler Jr., he's a hell of a coach. In prior stops, he has dealt with lack of talent, lack of quarterback. Now he has arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He has his squad, and he's making a name for himself. You know, some people may have overlooked him in the past. You can't overlook him now. When you have that quarterback, you have the pieces that he has around him. I'm scared for the league to see what that team does in the draft and free agency in the future. But I know they're not worried about the future in Kansas City right now. They're worried about the present and winning that division. And, if the other teams in that division don't get their acts together, the Chiefs could possibly run away with that division. So we'll see what happens.
I appreciate that shout out, guys. We just trying to get it right in Kansas City. Yes, sir. Moving into the NFC now, we go over to the North. Let it come up on the screen before I get started. We gave a slight mention to the Green Bay Packers before this stream started. The Packers lost a close game with a tough game to Coach Shay and the New York Giants. It was a tough one for him. That was like a first tough game of the year. But that division is going to be a very, very hard division as long as you got Coach Frank Green and those Detroit Lions and Coach Real Pressure and the Chicago Bears. They didn't get a chance to play their first game, so that rematch is going to be one for the ages. But Coach Frank Green and the Detroit Lions, as you see the stat line, he only had that one rough game against the Seattle Seahawks, but that is one of the toughest teams to play in the league. He's always, any team that he has is going to be in competition every single league he's in. So he's going to be a tough out to watch as far as the NFC North. As far as the Bears, as again, that's another solid user, going to be tough out. The Vikings, I know he's in a position where he's getting that team together. Still, shout out to Coach Aaron Battle. Don't let the 0-4 record fool you. He is a competitive guy. He's just dealing with a tough situation over there in the NFC right now. He has arguably two really solid users right now, and that Vikings team is a little bit a step behind most people in that division. So that's really my take on the North. I'm gonna pass it over to KD and see what he thinks about the North.
Yeah, so I agree. Those Minnesota Vikings right now, they got out to a pretty bad start. It's a decent team and a very competitive head coach, so they'll definitely get some wins. I'm not sure if they will see the playoffs, but they'll definitely get some wins this year, and hopefully get 5 or 6, maybe even 7. But I think starting out 0-4 is just a little tough to make it to the playoffs after that. The Bears, coach real pressure, great user. Unfortunately, they've taken some losses. I still think he's very, very dangerous and capable of winning the division. It's just a matter of how many wins he puts together and how his schedule shakes out. But definitely a great user. Definitely watch out for him. This division race isn't even close to being over. And I think this could definitely go down to the last couple weeks of the season. Coach Nick Green, you can't say enough about him. Every team, like you guys mentioned earlier, no matter what, he's going to be in the playoffs and probably win a playoff game or two. Very great user, solid user all around, offense and defense. Those lines are looking good, and I expect to see them in the playoffs out here in the NFC. Now, those Packers, they were a surprising 4-0 start. And like I mentioned earlier, they took a loss to a great team over there in the New York Giants. But I looked at his schedule, and it looks pretty favorable down the stretch. So I would not be shocked to see him even win this division. But I could definitely see him making the playoffs out there with Aaron Rodgers and the boys. And he also made a big trade to get Devontae Adams back. And that's one of the reasons that he is 4-1 right now and leading that division.
Yeah, I agree with everything everyone else said. This is a very interesting division. I quite frankly don't know what's going to happen. I think the Packers, even though they're no longer undefeated, I think them, along with the Seahawks and the Cardinals, which I mentioned earlier about the surprises of the league, I think the Packers are right there as well. The Vikings, things happen, but it's a long season. He's a competitor. He'll fight his way back, and let's be quite frank, the division is not over. So we'll see what the Vikings can do. I don't believe the division is over, so maybe he can work himself back in. The Bears are a tough user to take. I watched a game with them recently against the Texans. They look very good. They have some pieces. I think that if they catch a break or two, they will see themselves back into the playoff hunt. The Lions here, I believe, are the team that can, if they get hot, pull away from the rest of the pack. Now, will they? That's another story. But I believe if the Lions can get some things going, I think it could cause a snowball effect that allows them to run away with this division. And we'll see what they can do in the playoffs. But I do think the Lions are the threat of this division of running away with it. The other guys have to continue to maintain. The Packers can't slip up, because if they slip up, the Lions are right there, the Bears are right there. And so, yeah, there's going to be a few more losses in this division because they all play each other. So better get your popcorn ready, because the Lions and the Bears, they're coming from that top spot, Packers. Got to keep on pushing, got to keep on moving forward, got to continue to improve. The defense has to get a lot better. They've almost given up 200 points over the first 5 games. They got to make some moves on defense, or at least develop some of the younger guys to make more of an impact. Because if they don't, the Lions and the Bears are right there for the throne.
Agree 100%. Let's move on to the NFC South. And as first, waiting on it to come up. This is the division that has head commissioner Kadarius Bailey and the Atlanta Falcons. Honestly speaking, this is their division to lose. This is going to be you got to go through Atlanta to win this division. Plain and simple. You don't beat Atlanta, you're not winning this division. So Saints, Bucks, and Panthers, you better saddle up and get ready because Atlanta's the team to beat in the division. They lost a nail biter to the Seahawks in week 3. If it was not for that nail-biting loss, they would be undefeated as well. So that team is tough. They got a lot of talent out there. That Atlanta team is going to be tough. The Saints right now, I know I think they're in a current game with the Seahawks at the moment. So they need to really win that game to stay pace with this team in the NFC South. I know Carolina's having a little tough situation right now. They are kind of prepping for the draft. But you want to see that team find a way to get some big wins. They have not put a lot of points up on the board. They would like to. So this is going to be a challenge for them going forward. But again, they got a ton of draft capital. So we'll see what they do with this team in the offseason. And the Buccaneers are tricky. They're off to a rough 1-3 start. They had a tough loss at Kansas City last week, and they need to really they're going to have to try to win against Atlanta this week to make this division a battle, because at this moment, this is Atlanta's division to lose, and possibly Atlanta's one of the teams that could easily be in the running for not only winning that division, but coming out the NFC as well. So right now, Saints, Bucks, and Panthers, you better start getting some wins on that board, because you do not want Atlanta to get out to a 4 or even a 5-1 start. This division may be over.
All right. So when you look at the NFC South, I mean, obviously at the top, you see those Atlanta Falcons. I feel like they are definitely the team to beat in that division. We got a couple new head coaches in here, but we also have Coach Shane Trotter and the Carolina Panthers. Now, that Panthers team, they are definitely, they're looking forward to next year. They're actively playing and they're very competitive, but make no mistake about it, they're looking forward to the draft. They're trying to get draft capital. They're 0-4 right now, but I'm sure they'll get some wins throughout the season. So I don't expect them to try to make too much noise with trying to make the playoffs, because they are looking towards the future. As far as the Buccaneers are concerned, I haven't really seen much from them yet, but it's still a very talented team, and they had a close game with the Saints where they easily could have won. Well, it was close in the first half. They could have the ball bounces a couple different ways. They could have won that game, but they took a tough loss. And when you look at the Saints, he's been making a lot of trades trying to get that Saints team right. We all know the Saints have a very challenging salary situation over there. So you have to make moves to try to clear salary for the next season so your team can stay competitive. But he has been able to get 2 wins. He's sitting at 500 right now. So who knows? They could even challenge the Falcons for that division crown down the road. But I guess we'll just have to see on that. As far as the Atlanta Falcons, we took a tough loss to those Seattle Seahawks, which is a great team, by the way. No shame in losing to them. We're just looking to build quarterback Desmond Ridder and our other rookies like Drake London, and get our defense together. We got Calais Campbell and Grady Jarrett on the line, so make no mistake about it, we're looking to win the division and try to make a deep playoff run eventually.
I'm going to keep this very brief, but what I say is very important to the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Panthers. The Atlanta Falcons have a lot of cap space. They have a lot of draft capital. And they have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. They have less talent than the three teams that were mentioned above. I know some of them have lost talent trying to build draft capital or make moves to make their team better in the long term. But I want to say this, and I want everyone to listen closely. If moves are not made soon, this Falcons team can build a dynasty within the NFC South. That is how dangerous they are. And this happened when they hired Coach Bailey. I've seen what he has done with other teams. He's taken multiple teams to conference championships. And this Falcons team is hungry. They've had 7 losing seasons in the last 10 years. And now they smell blood within the division. They smell weakness. And if the Panthers don't get their draft, don't get the guy who they want in the draft, I believe that it could be an uphill battle. The Buccaneers still have tons of talent. They can make moves. I know that they can. They're very capable of doing so. And as far as the Saints still have some pieces left over from their very successful teams in the past. I'm interested to see how they continue to play this season. I think they are the team that can give the Falcons the most problems over the rest of the remainder of the year. But they're on a 2-game winning streak. Start off 0-2. So the way they have bounced back has been very impressive. I wonder if those 2 wins can leapfrog them into the playoffs, because they're only 1 game behind the Falcons. But as I stated, the Falcons are playing with house money right now. They were predicted to win 2 or 3 games this year. They have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. That is a dangerous team right now, not just for this year, but the future. So I need some of these teams to step up. The Panthers have to hit on that draft. I know they're going to continue to battle, but I know they need to hit on that draft. The Buccaneers and the Saints, they need some breaks. The Buccaneers on a 2-game losing streak, Saints on a 2-game winning streak. They have to play each other. They still have opportunities. They need to capitalize on their matchups against the Falcons. And they got to hope that the Falcons slip up somewhere down the road. But I want to reiterate, that Falcons team is one of the most dangerous teams in this league based off the fact that they have young players, draft capital, salary cap, and they have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract with a championship caliber coach. Watch out for the Falcons.
Yes, sir. I love the take on the Falcons. And now let's move over to the NFC East. Let's give it a second to come up. As we were talking about earlier, today's smoke session was won earlier by Coach Shay, which is Corey Stanley, the New York Giants. That team, Corey is showing how solid to elite of a user he is in the Madden streets. Taking a Giants team, starting off 4-1. This is a very impressive start because he's had a lot of really good teams in prior years. And what makes him special about this New York Giants squad is he don't put a lot of points on. He barely even put a trade on. You have to beg him to do those things because he's totally against all that stuff. And he's just going out there winning games. So that team's going to be fun to watch. I see the Commanders have made it to 500. They had a rough week 1 smoke session against Buddy Sanders and the Jaguars. He's rebounded since then to make it to 2-2. The Cowboys and Eagles, salute to both of those guys. They're going to be in a position where they got to kind of put it together. They've had a lot of outside Madden things going on. So just make sure you keep supporting those guys. They're going to get it together down the road. So right now, it is the Giants division to lose. They're also going to be one of the toughest outs in the NFC, regardless of what talent they have in New York or not. That team is going to show up every week to play and arguably win. They right now have one of the highest scoring offenses in the league. They have scored 213 points in 5 weeks. That's a stat line that a lot of teams don't hit until week 10 or even week 12. So to be scoring over 200 points in the first 5 weeks is highly impressive if you are the Giants. Like I said, the Commanders are scrapping their way back to 500, but the Cowboys and Eagles got to get off that slump soon as possible, or they could be finding themselves a little too far behind to start this season. But one thing I can say, the Cowboys have a lot of draft capital. They made a trade for Micah Parsons. They sent Micah Parsons to Buffalo and got a ton of draft capital from them. So they're in a good position to build something special in Dallas to go around the talent they already have. And then Philadelphia, again, like I said, those guys have certain things that are being dealt with outside of Madden. So it's a process on and off the field that owners have to deal with. So good luck to those guys getting those teams together. But as of right now, the Giants are clearly the most underrated team in the entire league. So pass over to KD to see what his thoughts is on the East.
Looking at the NFC East, these two teams at the bottom, Cowboys and the Eagles, both are very, very, very extremely talented teams. Extremely talented. It's still early in the season, so I'm gonna say I hope you guys can just win some games and you can find yourself right back in this division race. Win some games. You're just both 1-3. You're not out of the division. It's not over. Very talented teams. Win some games, and you never know what might happen. As CC Nate mentioned earlier, the Commanders, they took a pretty bad loss in our inaugural smoke session game, but they have rebounded, and they are 2-2. They're back to 500. Commanders, another very talented team. That D-line and that defense is pretty good. So they're right there also in the thick of it, of that race. But when you look at whose division this is to lose, it's none other than Coach Shay and those New York Giants. He's never seen a point that he's like or a trait. He don't need it. He don't need points. He don't need traits. He just wins games, man. And if you look at his point total, man, he's out there scoring points, man. 213 points through 5 games. And he's hot right now. He has that one loss to the Titans, but other than that, he's been winning games. He plays solid defense. He's good on offense. And I honestly expect him to win this division. And I say maybe by week 9 or 10, he could possibly be running away with this division. So keep an eye on that in the NFC East. But yeah, those Commanders, Cowboys, and Eagles, you all aren't out of it just yet. Just keep fighting and trying to win games.
Yeah. So when I look at the Cowboys, this isn't your father's Cowboys. They no longer have Dak Prescott, no longer have Ezekiel Elliott, no longer have Micah Parsons. I would be interested to have the Cowboys head coach and their GM on a smoke session one day, around the smoke to talk about his vision for what he sees the Cowboys to be. Yeah, they replaced it with draft capital, but it's hard to quantify how important those players are to that franchise. And, Micah Parsons had a few more seasons on the contract. So, I don't know if there's a player in the draft that could mimic what he brought to that team, but obviously they have a vision. It looks like they're not, they don't see themselves contending in that division this year. So maybe they do, we'll see. As far as the Eagles, I posed the same question for the Eagles that I posed for the Broncos. With that trade, the Jalen Hurts for Russell Wilson, eventually you had to pay Jalen Hurts, so I guess it made more sense on the Eagles end. They still have several pieces away. They still have several pieces of a championship team. I believe that they are a championship caliber team. I believe that their head coach is a championship caliber coach. I guess it just depends on, can they get things together? Their defense has not looked good this year, which is crazy because they have a pretty legitimate defense. I've heard talks of them potentially shopping Big Play Slade. So much like the Cowboys, I'm wondering what is the vision for this franchise? And because there's so many question marks about what their vision is, I don't know if they can get back into the race this year with the Giants. And maybe they have a long-term plan. Maybe they're like, okay, we know what we're doing here. The outside world may not understand what we're doing, but we have a game plan, and we're going to contend for a championship going forward. And those other teams aren't. The Commanders, Nate mentioned it. It's very impressive how they bounced back from their week 1 loss. They could have folded, they could have cratered. I'm sure the fan base had websites created talking about fire this coach, but they righted the ship. They're on a 2-game winning streak, and hey, look at it. They're 1 game and a half behind the Giants, who's played an extra game than them, from first place. This has been an incredible coaching job because, again, an average coach this season could have been over after week 1. But they didn't fold, and they're still in the thick of things as we head into week 5. The Giants, as both others mentioned, this is their division to lose. The Eagles and the Cowboys kind of did them a favor as far as like their vision for their team and trading key players away, but they still have to contend with the Commanders. And I'm not sold on Danny Dimes. I know Coach Shay is an elite level coach. I know he has an elite level tight end that they got in free agency via Oakland. But I wouldn't sleep on those Commanders. They have showed some resolve, and if the Giants slip up, the Commanders are right there. But it is the Giants' division to lose, So if the Cowboys and Eagles don't get things together and turn it around quickly, he can just get full on wins from the bottom tier teams in the division so far. So yeah, Giants and Commanders, I'm impressed. Cowboys and Eagles, you've got hit. The world's not going to feel sorry for you. Those two franchises have storied franchises, and other teams are like, hey, we've been there. What are you going to do about it? So I'm excited to see what their vision is going forward.
I love how you put that about those two teams. Definitely love how you put that about those two teams out in the East. Now we're going to move over to the NFC West, and this is going to be the battle that I'm looking forward to watching, and it comes down to Seattle and Arizona. Arizona, again, if you have been playing in leagues with myself and Tevin and company for a while, you are not surprised that Keandre and the Cardinals are 4-0. Regardless of the talent, he finds a way to win. He's one of the underrated users in the league. And I think he's going to be a very, very interesting person to watch down the stretch. It's probably going to be a team that's going to hit the smoke session at some point down the road. So very impressive 4-0 start for the Arizona Cardinals. The impressive 4-0 start for the Seattle Seahawks also, with Sam Howell at quarterback. He's been off to a hot start. That offense is moving. Dan Chisena, when we'll see the stat line in a little while, is one of the leading receivers in the league right now. So that division is going to be fun to watch down the stretch. The 49ers is another decent, solid team. Great team, solid user. He's got off to an 0-2 start. He's rebounded to get to 2-2. So that's going to be a team to just pay attention to down the stretch. And the Fix-It Jesus Rams. The Fix-It Jesus Rams. The Rams can't find a consistent user right now. But can you blame them? That team is awful. They've been robbed in the league. They gave away Aaron Donald for a Popeyes biscuit to Buffalo. They gave away a Chick-fil-A tea for Cooper Kupp to Miami. So the team got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of ways to go. So that team should be picking number one. I would be shocked if that team don't have a number one pick in the draft. And that's going to be a win for Coach Nick Green and the Lions, who have their first round pick from the Matthew Stafford trade that was done before the Rams Super Bowl win in 2021. So again, the Rams better figure something out, or they're gonna probably go 0-17 and be the first team to lose 17 games in the new era of the 17 game stretch. But I'm gonna pass it over to KD. But hey, again, Seattle, Arizona, they're gonna be two fun teams to watch down the stretch. I know the Seahawks are in a game right now, so I'm not sure what the score is. I will give you guys a score update in the headlines shortly, but I'm gonna pass over to KD in the meantime.
As Coach Nate just said, this looking at the bottom of the division, this Rams team right now, they're just a glorified force loss. They're a glorified force loss. We can't find a solid user right now. The team's awful. The best two players have been given away. It's just an awful roster right now over there in LA with the Rams. So definitely expect their team to be 0-16. They won't win a game this season unless somehow a solid user comes along and wants to fight that battle of trying to make that team relevant again. I expect them to not have any wins this season. As far as Coach LC and those 49ers, he is a very solid user, extremely solid user. Even though the Seahawks and Cardinals are currently 4-0, I expect him to put up a fight and try to make this division close as those division games start getting played. He has a nice team. He just unfortunately started with 2 losses. Those Cardinals, it's great to have Coach Keandre back. He's always been a great user. And now he has those Cardinals. Those Cardinals are playing out of their mind right now. They're putting up points. They're playing defense. Kyler Murray is looking good out there. They just look like a solid team. We'll definitely see them in the playoffs and probably be one of the top 2 seeds without a doubt. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as these teams in the division start playing each other, especially those Seahawks and Cardinals. But right now, they're sitting at the top. And I know we've talked about those Seahawks earlier and what they gave up to move up into that draft spot. I'm still not sure what he was thinking making that trade. Maybe he loves the Seahawks and he loves their uniforms. I like them too. That green is pretty nice. But he still has some pieces over there. He has Tariq Woolen. He was able to get some speedsters out of free agency. He loves to throw the deep ball, and it's been working for him. The proof is in the pudding. He is undefeated right now, and I definitely expect to see him in the playoffs also. And he'll for sure be maybe a top 3 seed in the playoffs. Currently is what I expect from them. So, yeah, tough division. The Rams, they're looking forward to next year, maybe the year after that. The 49ers, they're going to fight back and be solid, I believe, once it's all said and done. But those Seahawks and Cardinals are going to battle it out at the top, and the best team is going to win.
I mentioned the Seahawks and the Cardinals 2 or 3 times already, so I won't talk much about them. Again, those were my 2 or 3 surprise teams so far this year. They're very well coached, and that's going to be a dogfight. It's going to come down more than likely to those 2 head-to-head matchups, and they better both hope that they split, or because if one team sweeps, then that more than likely will be the team that heads to the playoffs as the NFC West champion. But don't hold your head down if that happens, because both coaches are outstanding and they'll likely both make the playoffs anyways. As far as the 49ers go, they have to be able to score points, quite frankly. The defense has played well enough to keep them in games to where they could possibly be 4-0 or 3-1 themselves. So, the offense has to help the defense out. That's what sports is, 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams. And so far, the defense has held up their bargain, but the offense is not. And I believe that if the offense can get their act together, this team can get back into this division race. As I mentioned earlier, the Seahawks and Cardinals play twice, which means somebody's going to lose. And if the 49ers can stay the course and continue on their upward trend, they're on a 2-game winning streak, they can get back into this division. But it all depends on this offense. The defense is good enough to keep them in every game that they play in, but the offense has to pick up some slack. The Rams. The Rams. So the past few GMs for the Rams have not done their team justice. The owner, going dating back to when the owner said F them picks, when they went for the Super Bowl, they went all in. And then more recently, they traded Jalen Ramsey, who is still a top 10 cornerback, for a tight end and a 3rd-round pick. Now, I don't know what was going on with him, but he was fired. And they hired a new GM. Thought, things would be different. But they traded Aaron Donald, traded Cooper Kupp. And now I honestly don't know where to start or where this team goes from here. They don't own their own 1st-round pick, so they don't get the benefit of being bad and getting the number 1 overall pick. So I don't know. And maybe this is one of those things where you have franchises that they win an unexpected championship and they're like, well, hey, we got what we wanted. We got what we got into the business of doing, winning the championship, and we'll just fall back and see where the chips lay. But I don't see this team winning the game this year. It's a pretty bad roster. And things were made worse when they traded their last 3 top 50-ish, well, not even 50, top 40-ish players for nothing. In the span of 2 months, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, all gone. And not for what the value on the open market would suggest they were worth. So I know that fan base is disappointed, but I know some of those fans are like, hey, we got a Super Bowl, so, 49ers, the Cardinals, they can't say the same thing for the last several years, and the Seahawks has almost been a decade. So I guess they're going to hold on to that, knowing that, hey, at least we got a Super Bowl.
Hey, that's a great outlook on those guys. Hey, as you see at the bottom of the screen, I've been giving y'all a score update. The Seahawks have pulled out to a double-digit lead over the Saints, so they're trying to cook to 5-0. That was definitely the situation that they are in right now. We gave everybody, if you are just tuning into the stream to currently, we gave everybody's breakdown. So we're gonna go back to the main screen and go to the stats. Let me get over to the stats real quick and let it come up on the screen. Hey, make sure if you are you're typing on the Facebook page, make sure that you sign up to where your face can be seen, because all of you are showing as Facebook user. And there's a lot of funny comments that are coming up, but hey, I can't post Facebook user. I need to see your face. But moving along over to the stat lines that show the top 3 stat leaders currently right now. Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray has almost 2,000 yard passing and 19 touchdowns so far. Number 2 is Derek Carr with 1567 and 12. Dak Prescott is number 3 with 1469 and 13 touchdowns, on the season. Moving down to the rushing leaders, we got Travis Etienne leading for the Jacksonville Jaguars with 659 on the season and 8 touchdowns. Second is Saquon Barkley in the Giants for 513 and 9 touchdowns. And number 3 in rushing is, shout out to Mike in the Houston Texans. Damian Pierce is number 3 with 431 and 3 touchdowns on the season so far. Receiving leaders, Travis Kelce in the Arizona Cardinals. He has 33 for 665 and 5 touchdowns already. Jamison Williams for the Detroit Lions is number 2 with 653 and 8 touchdowns. And Dan Chisena is going to be leading the league in receiving after the game between the Saints and the Seahawks. He has over 100 yards receiving. And matter of fact, I'm going to give you guys an update as I'm in the middle of talking about this stat line. The Seahawks scored again, so they're up 21. They're going to go to 5-0 probably more than likely, unless it's an epic collapse. Moving on to the sack leaders, we have the Seahawks leading with Ochina Nwosu with 8 sacks on the season so far. The Texans is number 2 with George Karlaftis, the rookie out of Purdue, with 6 sacks on the season, and Nick Bosa with 5 so far for the 49ers. Interception leaders Andre Cisco has 7 picks on the year. Really, all 3 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's go ahead and get out of the way. They're leading the league in interceptions. 1, 2, and 3 is Jacksonville Jaguar players. That team is off to a super hot start on the year. And tackle leaders is Ernest Jones for the Ernest Jones, Richie Grant, and Fred Warner. Those are the tackle leaders so far for the stat line. But that's just to give you guys a quick update on the stats coming up so far. And I think me and Mike got a couple of questions for the head commissioner before we get out of here. I'm going to throw my first question. So, KD, how do you feel that the league is going so far? I'm actually going to be a 2-part question. How do you feel about the league so far? And number 2, is there something that you are surprised about so far in your league?
Oh, 2-part question. So I feel like right now, man, the league is going about as well as it can go right now. I'm very, very impressed with all the users and stats they're putting up. Also, shout out to you for doing the smoke session, commentating that first game. That was amazing. We always love when you commentate. But yeah, for the most part, the competition is great. You know, it's a lot of smoke in here, no pun intended. And it's only gonna get better, man. It's only gonna get better. And doing streams like this, it'll bring more attention to the league, bring more interest, have more people wanting to join. We might even have a waiting list of people wanting to join all the smoke just to be a part of something that's could be bigger than Madden. I know a lot of people have built close friendships through Madden, so we're going to continue that. And could you repeat the second part of the question again, Coach Nate?
So, second question is basically, I think you might have answered both actually for me, because I was asking, is there something that surprised you about the league so far? Basically what I was asking.
Okay, as far as surprises, just the competition. The competition has been great. You know, we're in multiple leagues together, so we kind of meshed about 3 or 4 different leagues together with different competition. I know a lot of these guys have played each other, but some of these guys have not gotten a chance to play a lot of these people. So we have new matchups building, new rivalries. So you never know what you're going to see in all the smoke. We're going to have more games commentated here coming up. That was even a surprise to me at first, because I didn't know that was planned. But of course you came through and you did your thing. But yeah, we're definitely looking forward to more surprises.
Yes. Again, so grateful to have the commissioner of the league come in and join us on this episode, first episode. So my question for you, Commissioner Bailey, so far there seems to be a lot of parity in this league in comparison to many other leagues. So far, there are only I think 5 remaining undefeated teams. Well, 4 now because the Packers lost, and there's, I believe, 6, maybe 5 teams that are winless. So usually, you know, you have a lot more number of undefeated teams remaining. Now with the parity, you have a lot of 1-3 teams, 2-2 teams. You have more of those than undefeated teams. And I just want to ask you, like, how excited are you to have parity within this league?
Oh, Mike, it's extremely exciting. When you look around the league, as I previously mentioned, there's a lot of smoke out there. That's why we called it all the smoke, man. We have competition throughout both conferences, every division. Like I said, new matchups are building and new rivalries. I just feel like almost every player, if not all players in this league, are a tough out and capable of winning games at any moment. So it's man, I'm extremely excited about that. And I highly doubt you'll see any team going 17-0 throughout the season or going the full season undefeated. You just won't see that here due to all the competition that's around the entire league. And that's a testament to the commissions. That's a testament to the users. We found a solid core group of guys, and people are playing their games and out here getting wins.
Okay, back to some of the. There's a question that Antoine, the Titans user, asked so far. He asked so before I get into that question, everybody that's tuned in on StreamYard, you need to click on the bottom of the comp. So basically, what you're watching on the bottom of the wording, it shows grant permission for StreamYard/Facebook. You all have had a lot of good commentary, good comments, good questions. Make sure you click on that because your face is showing Facebook user. Only like 2 or 3 people's faces are able to actually show up. Make sure you click on that so when we do future Around the Smoke shows, smoke sessions, all that stuff, you can be able to have yourself seen on the stream. We want to be able to include all of y'all. This isn't just our thing that we're doing for the league. This is y'all included as well. But okay, I asked the question on YouTube for me. His question was Super Bowl predictions. Listen, this is it's too early for me to say right now. It's too early for me to say right now because it's a lot of competition that straight up. I'm just gonna be honest with this. I'm gonna be honest. Hold on, let me say this right here. One of the commissioners right now just said Rams and the Raiders. You're not gonna let us be messy on the stream, sir. This is the other head commissioner checking.
That will not happen. Head Commissioner Darrell, that will not happen.
Okay, I see somebody ask why I gotta do this every time because it's a new group page. Every time you start a new group page, StreamYard asks for you to access your permission so you can be able to comment under there. But I think it is too early. But I'll say it like this. I think the NFC right now, it's hard. I can't get that right now. I'm gonna skip past that question. It is week 5. Ask me that question maybe week 8 or week not the second all around the Smoke stream. I'm gonna avoid that question for right now. What about you, Katie and Mike? Do y'all want to hit that one?
Hey, I'm the head commissioner, one of the head commissioners. I'm gonna be politically correct right now and say, ask me around week 10. It's really early right now. Get with me around week 10, or even when the playoff picture comes out, and I will for sure answer that question with a Super Bowl matchup prediction.
It goes back to the question that I posed for Commissioner Bailey. It's so much parity in this league, and that's what makes this league so great. I mean, you can make an argument for every 4-0, 3-1 team, but I mean, you can make an argument for some of those teams that are 2-2, that are on a 2-game winning streak. So I'm not sure. Give me a few more weeks and we'll see. But the parity in this league is so great that hey, a 2-2 team right now could find themselves in a Super Bowl. So we'll see.
As you see on the bottom of the screen, the Seahawks got the win that they needed. They are now 5-0 they are now 5-0. This is their first 5-0 start since the 2013 Super Bowl season for the Seahawks. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm just throwing out a professional stat. But I agree with both Mike and KD. I think it is way too soon. This is probably going to be a battle from start to finish throughout this stretch. I don't really know how this thing is going to go down the stretch. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know. It's gonna be a battle. I think, like Katie said, week 9 we will be able to hit that a little more. And I got one more thing. I know Mike may have one more thing he want to ask. Okay, there's Finley checking in. Shout out to you. You just won the game, moving to 5-0. Shout out to the Seahawks. Once again, he's keeping that pressure on for the NFC West. Okay, KD. I got one more question for you. I think Mike probably have one more question for you, and we're gonna get up out of here, y'all. I appreciate a lot of y'all been tuning in from the beginning of this stream, and I appreciate that. But is there anything that you want to say to the users of the league that you would like to see them improve on? Is it something that you would like to see brought to the table to make the league even greater? Like, what is a challenge you want to throw down to the league in regards to making all the smoke the best smoke around?
Okay. My first challenge to all the users: play your games, man. Play your games. Go out there, play your games, build your player. That's how you build your team. You have to play your games and try to score points, build your players. We give out incentives for streaming and for playing in 24 hours. They're both +2s. And without playing your games, you can't get that. So just be sure to be mindful of your opponent's schedule. Just hit them up as soon as advance comes. Don't wait around to an advance day and then say, oh, well, we didn't have a time set. I want a fair sim. No. You need to reach out to your opponent. We're all adults. Schedule your game and just make sure you play, and the league will be fun. You'll build your players. Also, try to avoid tanking, and of course, stream your games. Like I said, that's another incentive. Stream your games, you get that +2. You don't even have to play technically in 24 hours. If you gonna stream your games, you still get that +2. And then who knows, you may end up in a highlight video, or your highlights will be posted. So yeah, stream your games. We like to see good games. We like to have something to watch every now and then. So if you haven't, set up Twitch or YouTube and get those streams out there, man, and post them in the chat.
Yeah, I initially had another question, but I'm gonna hold off. And this is my way of holding off on this question. Is my way of getting not only Commissioner Bailey back on the show, but Commissioner Darrell as well. So this is my way of rolling out the red carpet and asking that, or requesting that both of you please come back on the show again. This has been great, and I know the head coaches, the fans around the league, they have enjoyed this, because not too many professional leagues get their own commissioner on the show to give some insight. So I'm very thankful. So I'm going to hold off on my question till next time.
All right, and I'm gonna end it with one last thing before we get off of here. Let me double down on what KD said to y'all about the streaming. You cannot make any highlight. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We will be doing a lot of highlight reels, a lot of stuff. It's gonna be the first. We're really gonna tap into having a lot of visuals into this league. It's gonna be first thing you've seen. I know a lot of you have probably seen myself and Mike do the streams on professional draft and all those sports stuff. We want you guys to be just as involved in stuff in regards to streaming, in regards to your own platforms. If y'all are not subscribed to Buddy Buckets, you need to subscribe to him. He's doing a week-by-week franchise outlook on his team. But there are several users in the league that we hear on the mic on a consistent basis, like Antoine, the Titans user, Finley, the Seahawks user, you guys that are actually having, you guys that have the equipment to go out there and do particular streaming, particular post games and pre games and stuff. Take advantage of those opportunities. It could be a great way to build your own platform outside of all the smoke. Do not miss out on that opportunity, because you will get an opportunity to do stuff in the league, outside the league, but in regards to the stuff that we're doing, and it's simple. If you got a mic, if you got a video camera, get on there and do something. This is very, very simple. We are all big on helping each other out as far as building your platform. Buddy Buckets just said under the comments, if y'all need help, any help, y'all can always come through, hit me up, fellas. I appreciate you telling me that, buddy. But it's a lot of you that we all, because myself, Mike, Katie, Darrell, Tevin, the other commissioner, he was not able to really show his face on here because he don't want to do the right thing. He picked Facebook user, but I'll get on to him about that later. But you guys got to make sure that you are on here consistently streaming. You cannot be featured in a stream if you do not have your account set up. You need to get it set up. There's a lot of you that are capable of putting your mic. You got your mic, you got video. I know two of you that I mentioned earlier have videos of yourself up while you're streaming. So make sure that you take advantage of it. You don't have to get on the mic and talk if you don't want to, but if that's something that you know that you're able to do, why are you missing out on an opportunity? You could build your game and platform that way. We're going to be playing for at least 3 seasons at least, just to throw a number out there. But you want to build something. You want to see where you progress your team from week 1 up to now. So I'm making that challenge to all of you that have the equipment to do so. So, KD, I want to see what your thoughts is on that. I'm gonna let you hit the last thing to say before I get off. Before we end this thing.
Oh yeah, definitely that. Now that will definitely, get more hype around the league and get more people interested. And like I say, you may even be streaming or doing your post game or whatever, and somebody else see it and they say, "Hey, what league is that? I want to be a part of that too." Because that's what we're building, man. We're building a prestigious league over here that people want to be a part of. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of extra stuff outside of Madden that we're doing, like we're doing right now with this stream and the smoke session games that will be commentated. And, we have more surprises in store. So yeah, take advantage of any equipment you have. Like Nate said, if you have a mic, you have a camera, you have a YouTube channel, you have a Twitch channel. By the way, Twitch users, you can set your stream to save for 14 days, or if you are a Amazon Prime user, you can have it saved for 60 days. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. But yeah, if you are capable, please feel free to start a channel up. If you already have it, use your channel and try to build it with video and audio and gameplay. And let's make this league grow and make this league great.
Yes, sir. I love that comment. And got one last thing for you. He said, Katie, I was looking for you to veto the trade. I think you're talking about the trade to go to number 1.
Hey, man, that trade involved another head commish, man. Hey, if that wasn't the case, who knows? But that was another head commish. You moved up to 1, but hey, it's not too bad for you right now. You're undefeated, man. So keep going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that will conclude the first version of Around the Smoke. Hey, if y'all want to jump on here, you are more than welcome to do so. Just
oh yeah, we would love to do some coach interviews on here.
Yes, sir. And Mike, do you have anything left to say before we get up out of here?
No, sir. This has been great. I can't wait to have Commissioner Darrell on as well. This was something that was this type of interview was created by Commish Nate, and I'm happy to be a part of this. So let's keep it up. Everybody keep on doing what y'all doing. It's gonna be a grind. I'm excited to see who comes out on top. You know, we got a lot of good players in this league. And I'm just excited. I even just looking at the stats, like you don't see the normal names. Like you see Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, passing leaders, Travis Etienne, see Dan Chisena, receiving, Uchenna Nwosu, sacks leader. Like even like there's even parity within like the stats. Like it's crazy, and I'm excited to see who comes out on top.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Finley, we will get you in on an interview. Keep winning. You could possibly make Around the Smoke Volume 2. So we're gonna make something happen with you guys. Believe me, you will be involved. But until next time, this has been the first version of Around the Smoke. This is Nate, Katie, and Mike checking out. Until next time, we will see you guys week 9. But until then, get the wins in. No ducking, no taking.